I've been an audiobook narrator since 1996, and so after 17 years and 700 books later, I still love being a narrator. I get to read some fascinating material, meet some really interesting writers, I get to work at home, I make really good money doing it. It's been a really good fit for me, both professionally and personally. It fits my temperament as a performer, as a worker. I really enjoy it. But after I'd been doing it for several years and began to sort of get known in my circle of friends that I was an audiobook narrator, I'd go to networking events or parties, and people would sort of corner me and want to know, what's it like to be a narrator? How do you get into the business? I think that's really fascinating. And of course, being an actor, you love to talk about yourself, so I would go on for 30 minutes or whatever, talking about the industry and being a narrator and all that. And at the end, I would say, well, if you want to maybe do some sessions with me, or if you're more interested, give me a call and I could, point you in the right direction. No one would ever call. And then I began to realize that I was wasting all my time answering other people's questions and not networking with the people I wanted to meet at this event. So I changed tactics. People would come up and say, oh, I want to be a narrator. And I would say, no, you don't. No, it's way too hard. Way too hard. The industry's very difficult to break into. Everybody wants to do it. It's a lot more difficult than you think it is. So no, just give it a pass. And believe it or not, a lot of people would just stop right there and say, oh, okay, But there were people who were more persistent. And I kept putting them off and putting them off. And I did it by design. Because I thought if someone's really serious about something, they'll stay on it. They'll stay with you and they'll keep, no, I really do want to do this. What can I do to get into this, this line of work? And so I came up with a little test that I would give them. And I said, if you do this test and you pass it, call me and we'll talk. And it's so far over the last, say, 17 years, it's turned out to be a pretty good barometer to measure how serious someone is about becoming an audiobook narrator. So what I want to do today is share with you this little test I give people, and so that you can try it yourself. And I think this will be the quickest way for you to decide whether or not audiobooks even might be something you want to pursue as a performer. Okay? So, let's get started. So here's the test. I tell them when they get home to go to their bookcase and select a book that they like. In this case, my book, To Be or Wanna Be. Little shameless self-promotion. And to put it on a book stand or a music stand, something where the text can sit away, you don't have to hold it. Because when you're actually narrating, you never touch the text because it makes too much noise in the microphone. So, let's put it on this book stand here. And because I'm such a tall person, I've actually elevated it with a little box to get it closer to eye level. You don't really want it flat on the ground because it'll wear your voice out when your chins drop down. It puts too much pressure on your voice box. And also, once you get this set up, location is important. What I tell them is to try and set this up inside a confined space. A walk-in closet, a bathroom, maybe the corner of a room if they don't have any of the, the other options. Turn the lights out, put a light on this text all by itself, and what we're trying to do is replicate the physical presence of being in the studio. The booth you saw in the opening shot, that's the booth I work in. And it's 4 by 6. It's pretty confined. And I work in there every day between 5 and 6 hours a day. I take breaks, of course. I'm not in there, lock the door for 6 solid hours, but you get the feeling. I'm in a confined space all by myself working. And then I tell them, read out loud for 1 to 2 hours a day for the next 2 weeks. And when they're reading, if they stumble over a passage, to stop, to back up to the beginning of the sentence and start again, which you would do if you were narrating. Also, if they hit a word, a person, a place, a phrase they don't know how to pronounce, stop. Go look it up. You're not allowed to guess. All right? So they're just reading out loud, but for that amount of time, and it begins to, in a very vague way, replicate what it's like to start to work as a narrator. All right? And I tell them, if you can get through those 2 weeks and you're still interested, give me a call. One of the sort of interesting things that's happened over the years is, yes, I do get calls from people who say, yes, I did it, and I still like it, I'd like to work with you, and so on, great. But every so often I'll get people who call me or send me an email and say, I did the test, and it convinced me that I don't want to be a narrator. I didn't realize I was going to be, stuck in a box. I'm getting claustrophobic. It's just too much to handle. So, and I think that's good. That's what the test is for. I would much rather someone who approaches me do this test and spend no money and just find out for themselves than to spend thousands of dollars on equipment and lessons and getting a booth and all that, or maybe even cutting a demo, before they realize what it's actually like to sit every day with a book and talk. Okay, so I would strongly suggest that if you're interested in doing audiobooks, to give this test a try. I've been doing it now with people for many years, and it really has it's separated the people who sort of thought they want to be a narrator from those who really do. Good luck.